Hi there, I'm the Extraordinary Tourist, otherwise known as David Arundel, from the Animation and Video Life website and the Lazy Animator website. And in this video I'm going to show you an application that I've unearthed that will help you import vector props into Cartoon Animator. If you're not familiar with what vector props are, here on the screen I've got this vector prop that I'm going to show you how I imported into Cartoon Animator of this Ferrari. The reason why you'd want to go with vector props is because you can zoom in on them and they retain their sharpness. They don't pixelate. And just to demonstrate that, I've got my businessman character here, who is a raster based or pixel based character. And if I zoom in on his arm, you'll see that the closer we get, you'll see the edges of his arm here are starting to pixelate into squares. But with the car, the lines here are perfectly sharp. That's because they're vectors. They're basically put together with mathematical formulas that map out all the points rather than individual pixels. The other advantage of vector-based props in Cartoon Animator is what's called render styles. So if I select this car and open up the render styles window, you'll see here that I've got all these styles set up, and I just click on them and this car will change into all of these different styles with just one click. And you can also change the outline thickness of the car, go from that to none at all. We can just turn off the outline, or you can just fine-tune bits. Say if you don't want to change everything, which is what these render styles do, you can say just change the upper second color, which I think is the whole car, and so I wanted to change, oh no, that's the backlight. We'll try this one. What have we got here? There we go, that's the whole car. I just wanted to change the car's color. We could do that. And it's just sort of things that we can do all on the fly inside the program without having to go out into a graphics editor and do that manually and save it as a new prop. Just reset everything. So I'm going to show you how I got this into Cartoon Animator and give you some tips on making props as well. So I'll just get straight into it. Now this original prop was made in Inkscape, which is a freeware vector-based program which you may be familiar with, and I'll leave links for all of the different things that I'm using in the description. And you can see my Ferrari here. If you look at the layers, I've separated it into outline and color. So if I turn the color off, all you've got is the outline here. And if I click on the outline, I've actually combined everything into one object. So if I open up the object layer, close the car color, you see there's only one object on the object layer, or on the car outline layer. And the reason why I did that is that Cartoon Animator actually complains if you start to import too many objects, so it's a good idea before you bring in your props to reduce the number of objects in it to as few as possible if you can. It'll still let you import a large number of objects, but it just will make things easier and probably make Cartoon Animator run a lot smoother with fewer objects in there. So I'll go back to layers. You see if I turn the outline off, and I've got just the colors here now. And again with that, I've tried to reduce the number of objects. So my car color there is all one object. As well as that, you should generally try to stick to flat colors. Don't use too many gradients. I haven't actually tried gradients yet to see how they go, but generally they don't tend to hold well, because we're going to have to convert this file into a Windows meta file, and sometimes things like gradients and whatever don't usually translate. But if you stick to basic colors, the less chance you have of conversions not working. One thing I will say is you should try and, with all your objects, try and close your shapes. Don't have open shapes. So if I click on, say, this seat cover here, and well, none of these objects actually have outlines on them. But if I show you that with an outline, you'll see that it's a closed outline. It's not open anywhere. So try and make sure all your shapes have closed outlines. Sometimes if you have an open outline, it doesn't always get through the conversion, and you'll end up with like colors missing and stuff. So if all your color shapes are closed, that's another thing that's going to make sure that your image converts properly. Back to my layers and turn my outline back on. I'm not going to talk much more about actually creating vector props. That's something you can sort of learn. This particular process doesn't specifically need Inkscape. You just need to have a vector program that can export your vector as a Windows meta file, because that's the only form of vector that the program we're going to be using will actually accept. So if you're using Inkscape to save this out as a Windows meta file, all you have to do is go into the File menu, do Save a Copy, go to wherever you're planning to save your prop out to. I've already got it set here. I'm going to change it, the Save As type, to Windows meta file, which is .wmf. You see I've already got one in here, so I'll just click on top of that. Click Save. You'll come up with this output thing that I just leave on the default things. And it's just saying this because I've already got it, so I'll replace that file. And that's all you need to do. Like, if you've got some other vector graphics software, so long as you can export it as a WMF file, you should be okay. So we'll get out of that now. The next step, I'm going to show you the actual software that we're using. This is called KVec. It's a freeware program, and it's a little bit convoluted as to how we're going to get from our graphic to a graphic that we can import into Cartoon Animator. Unfortunately, it's the only option we have. I've sort of scoured the internet trying to find something that can convert vector graphics to a SWF Flash file without needing Adobe Animator or Adobe Flash installed. And there really is not a lot out there, and this is taken me ages to find this particular one. And it's a fairly old program. It's basically from something like 2010, but it still happens to be up there, and this particular site, the last update according to here, is sort of 2019. As you can see, Flash is no longer supported. I'm going to go to the English version of this site. And you've got this big notice here, KVec is now freeware. Menu down the side is done in Flash and no longer works, but that doesn't matter. All we're going to do here is go to the download section. This application actually works in Windows, Linux, and Mac OS X. And if you've got the Windows version, there's an actual version of this software that has a graphical user interface. But I found, like, I tried it on my laptop and it worked perfectly, and I thought, great, this software is just the thing I've been looking for. But on my desktop system it wouldn't work at all, and I'll show you in a minute exactly what happens. But for the Mac version, there's only a command line version, and there's also a command line version for both Linux and Windows, and I'm going to show you how to use that here for Windows. and I imagine it's fairly similar process for Mac and Linux as well. It's a little bit more complicated, but it's not hard once you know, sort of been through the steps. It's pretty quick. But if you're on a Windows system and you've got a 64-bit computer, if you want to try the one with the graphical user interface, you would download this top one, which is the English version. If you speak German or Czech, there's versions for that as well. These are the same, just in those languages. If you can get the graphical user interface version to work, definitely use it. It's the easiest one to use. Lucky you if it works. But if not, you'll need the command line version, which is the English version one here that you're going to be downloading. And all of these download as zip files. If you're not sure if you're using a 64-bit computer, then you'll want the 32-bit version, which will work on a 64-bit system, but that's what this one is down here. And again, you'll just download the English, German or Czech one. These are the command line versions if the graphical user interface doesn't happen to work. But that's this site, and again I'll leave the links for this in the descriptions. So what you'll get from here when you download it is you'll get a zip file. I've downloaded all the different versions here. You can see I've got a bunch of zip files here. This one here, KVec command Windows 64.zip, is the command line version. Then the KVec GUI Win E64 is the graphical user interface version. And what you're going to do is just once you've downloaded them, you extract them to the folder, whichever one you're using. I'm using this one, so I'm going to open that up, and you'll see all these files inside. What we're going to do is copy those to somewhere that's a bit more convenient, so that we can use the command line much better, but I'll get to that in a minute. First, I'm going to give you a quick look at the graphical user interface version. Once you've downloaded the zip file into wherever you want to put it and unzipped it, you'll have these two files here. All you need to do is select setup.exe, run that, and it will install the program. I'm not going to do it just now because I've already got it installed on this computer, and this is the 64-bit Windows version that I'm running, so you can see I've got KVec GUI_Win E64. So once you've run that, I'll start up the program and show you what it looks like. And if you can get this to work on your machine, even if you're on a Mac computer and you want to run something in Windows emulation mode, definitely go this way. It's by far the easiest way to use this software, and it will make your life a whole lot easier, and you'll never have to use the command line version of this program. But you'll see in here, you've just got this one screen, and to use it for the purposes of just converting a file to a Flash file or an SWF file, all you need to do is select Open File, change this down here to vector images so that you can find wherever you've saved your Windows metafile version of your prop, and open that up. You'll see it appears here. It's got input vector on it, and you can see the actual prop that you've got there. You can actually just click go up here, but according to the documentation on this software, sometimes that can be a bit buggy, and they recommend using file convert instead. So you just go do that, convert, and you'll see you get another window with the output vector. It doesn't show this, you can just click on show result and you'll get the output vector showing. And once you've done that, all you need to do is go File, Save File, choose where you're going to save it to. I've already got one here. Make sure the file type is as a SWF. It should already be set to that. Click on Save, and that's all there is to it. You're pretty much done with converting your vector from a Windows meta file to a Flash SWF file, and that's all ready for importing into Cartoon Animator. So as I say, if you can get this running, that's how easy it is to convert your props. It will make your life a whole lot easier using this graphical user interface. It's only available on the Windows version, unfortunately. So if you can get this running on your Mac under a Windows emulator of some sort, I definitely recommend that over trying to use the command line version that's specifically for Mac. If it's not working, what happens is you'll go to your folder, you'll try and open your Windows meta file here, you open, and you'll get this error here, and I haven't been able to work out what's causing this error on this machine. I didn't get this on my laptop version, it worked perfectly there. Unfortunately I haven't been able to solve this, so I figured I may as well just go with the command line version and show you in this video how that all works. So I'm going to quit out of this program because nothing I do will get that thing working. Now the command line version, you have to open up a command window, which you do by going to the Windows menu. I believe if you're doing this on a Mac, a command window is called a terminal window that you want to open with. It's basically for entering in command lines that you type directly in. On Windows you need to go to the Windows System folder, and you'll see this command prompt item here which you open up, and it will give you a command prompt window, and you see you can type stuff in here. And what we want to do is get to a directory that has KVec's command line version in it. If you've never seen a command window, what this basically is showing here is where you are on your computer. This is C drive in the users folder and in the David folder, which is me. So now I'm going to open up where I've extracted my command line to, and what I want to do is open up another window that's in the same place as this and copy all these folders to that. So I'll show you how we do that. Will be this window. As you can see here, I've got a window that I've opened up, and at the moment I'm just in this PC. So I want to be on C drive first, so C drive is here, so I'm going to double click on that. Then I want to be in the users folder, so I'm going to scroll down till I can see the users folder. Then I want to be in the David folder, and that'll put me in here. Now obviously if I start copying things into this spot, that's going to get very messy. So what I'm going to do is create a new folder in here by clicking on new folder, and I'm going to call it KVec. I'm going to keep these names short because we're going to be needing to type some of these things. So oops, just call it KVec, enter. Now I've got a KVec folder, which I'm going to double click and open. Now over here, I want to be in the same folder as here. To do that, I just click in here, and I'm going to use a command called change directory, and it's very easy to remember. It's just CD for change directory, and then you type the folder name of where you want to be, which is KVec, and hit enter, and you'll see now we're in the KVec folder, so it's C drive users David KVec. Now, the next thing I need to do is copy all of these files that I downloaded from the KVec website for the command line version. So I'm just going to select everything down here, and I'm just going to hit the copy button on the window here. And I'm going to go over to here and hit the paste button, and all of those files are now in here, and you can actually check that over here. You can actually do a directory to see what's in this folder now, and that's fairly easy to remember. You just type dir for directory and hit enter, and you'll see a list of files come up, and you can see the names here, files.list, that's what we've got here, kvec.exe, kvec.key, there's kvec.text, we've got the par directory, which is the one up the top there, and the readme.txt file, so that's all good, that's in there. The next thing you need to do is copy your prop into this folder that you're going to convert. This is my folder with the prop, the Windows meta file prop that I saved. So I want that. I'm just going to select it, do copy, switch to this window, and do paste. Now you can see I've got my little Ferrari Windows meta file in there. I promise you this is as complex as it's going to get, because the next thing we do is go into this window. We're going to run the command that actually converts the file, and to make this even easier, you can just click once on the name and make sure that the whole name is selected, and do Control C to copy the name so that you don't have to type it out. Now in the command prop window, all we need to do is type KVec, which is the command, and what that does is basically call the kvec.exe program, do space, and then do Control V for paste to paste the name that you just copied. So there you go, that's our file name that I just copied from over here. Do another space, and now Control V again, paste the same file name, but we're converting this into a Flash prop, which is a .swf file. So instead of WMF on the end, we have to replace that with SWF. What that does is that tells KVec that you want to convert it to a Flash file or SWF file. As soon as you've done that, all you need to do is hit enter, and it does its thing. And if it hasn't worked, you'll see down here it'll say no vectors generated. If it has worked, you should see a number, and I've got 76 vectors generated. And over here you can see that I've now got my little Ferrari manual chase with .swf on the end of it. So that's all you do to convert any props. If you want to really look into this and look at the kvec.txt file, which really explains how this works, you can actually do batch processing of more than one file at a time. But I just want to keep it simple. If you're going to do this and you want to keep it simple too, then just keep this folder set up, keep copying your Windows meta files into here and doing this step that I just showed you. That's it. I've now got my shockwave file. The next step is to go into Cartoon Animator. Then all we have to do is go into that folder there, bring it forward, click on our shockwave or Flash file and drag it into the editor here. And there you have it. That's my vector prop inside the program. Now, while we're sort of working on this, I wouldn't sort of resize it or anything. I'd just sort of keep it there and zoom the camera in on it rather than resizing it, so that everything is as it was when you brought it in. Now, if you want to make this compatible with render styles, at the moment, if you click the render styles button, you can see here we've only got these three options here, and we can still adjust the thickness of the lines. We'll turn the lines on and off. We've only got contrast and saturation, and they don't do a whole lot. So if we want to make this compatible with all of those render styles that were there, we have to go into the composer, so that's the top button there, and we have to click once to select our prop, and you'll see there's a window here which is called the vector grouping tool. Just click on that and this box here will come up. What this lets us do is group all the different colors and give them a name. And just to explain how this box works, this is actually set up to work with G2 characters, which is why it's got a column here called angle, and it's all set to angle 0, which is what it will be for props. But if you had a G2 character, you could set different groupings for different angles. And you'll see the group names down the side. You've got skin 1, skin 2, all of these names going right down the list to eyelid and brow, and then it goes custom 1, 2, 3. All the way from the top down to brow, these are all names that are in relation to G2 characters. So if you were creating a G2 character, you would use these names so that when you use the render styles, you would get similar results that you would get with one of Reallusion's characters when you apply a render style. So skin 1 is like the main skin color, skin 2 would be the shadow, upper 1 is for the upper body, upper 1 would be like the highlight, upper 2 might be the main body color, upper 3 might be an accent or a shadow, and upper 4 could be a shadow. Lower 1, 2, 3 and 4, that's for the legs of the character. Shoes, obviously, that's for the shoes. Generally these numbers you'd work your colours from light to dark. Again, hair 1, 2 and 3, 4, and you've got mouth, teeth, tongue, lip, pupil. 2 colours for your pupil, eyeball, socket, eyelid, etc. right down to your brow. Then your custom colours are generally they usually get used for props or for any additional colours you want to add to a character. And then down the very bottom you've got outline, which is exactly what you think it's for. It's for the outlines. Now when you're colouring props, you can still use any of these if you want to, and I actually feel it's better to use these rather than the custom ones, because using these gets better results when you start applying the render styles than when you use the custom colors. As you can see, we've got the index here. This index is all the different objects, so if I click on one thing, you'll see something over here starts flashing. That's that particular object that's flashing. Again, that's my color of the background. So that's how you know what's selected. As I said, the angle is the angle that you're looking at, and this will be angle 0 for props all the time. And the part, this column's pretty useless all around. It's just the name of the prop for the whole list. And the group column will be populated with whatever you select here for that particular part. Now, as you can see, I've got 141 different objects in this file. Fortunately, I don't have to do everything individually in terms of assigning colors. I can just do this box down the bottom here, which is select the same color. And you'll see now when I select something, anything that's got the same color will all be selected, and I can assign that all the same grouping. So this one here, I'm going to call that lower 2. It's like the second darkest color in the lower section of the car. So I just click on lower and then I click apply, and you'll see all of that has now been given the grouping of lower. So anything that was selected is now lower. So all we do now is go to the next blank space. That's selected all the car color. I'm going to give that a color grouping of upper 2, and then just go apply and go to the next one. You see that's all the outlines being selected. But as well as that, it's also selecting my tire color. I'll deal with that later and I'll show you how to do that. Since it's mostly black and it's going to be my outlines, we'll just go to the bottom of this list, select outline and go apply. Now I happen to know that the wheels themselves are these ones up here and I don't want them as part of the outline, but I'm going to have to remove them individually, otherwise clicking on them will just select everything that's black. So I'll uncheck this and I want to find, right, I've got this thing up here, the color inside there. I don't want that to be part of the outlines, so I'm going to make that lower 4 so that it matches up with the tires. Go apply for that. And then next one. This one here. This one. That's my wheel. I want that to be a lower 4. Apply. Inside of my wheel, it's going to be a lower 4. Apply. Go down a bit. Get these two. That to be a lower 4. Apply. That wants to be a lower 4. And apply. And I think that's it. Everything else is outline. So I'll fix that so that my wheels, the interior of my wheels, are now not part of my color. Go back to selecting the same color and hitting the blank ones. Alright, so that's going to be an upper. I'm going to make that upper 3. because we already used upper 2. Go apply. Keep going. I'm going to make that upper 1. And apply. Next blank one. I'll make that one upper 4. Looks like I haven't used that. No. Right, it's the white in my wheels, which I'm going to make lower 1. Apply. And I think that might be everything. There we go, that's pretty much everything. As you can see, that was pretty quick to get done just by selecting the same color. We pretty much grouped 141 props fairly quickly. So now that's done, we can get out of the vector grouping tool and we can look at the render styles tool, and you'll see now we've got all of these render styles available to us. So you've got line art, grayscale, neon, pop art, retro, cartoon art, inverted, silhouette, and monochrome. And default, you can still do the outlines and stuff. And if we want to, we can just affect certain parts of the car. If we just want to change the color, perhaps. There we go, now we've got a blue car. And I think we can even change colour of the outlines if we wanted to. Yep, there we go, we can make the outlines completely different. Anyway, so that's all ready for render styles. The last thing to do is get out of there. and pretty much save the prop to wherever you want to save it. And I don't want to save it over there. I'll just select it, hit the plus button, save a new version, call it little Ferrari 2. There we go. If we want to give it a better thumbnail, just right click on that and do capture thumbnail. There we go. See, all done. Can pretty much use that however we want. Got all the render styles in there, and it's pretty much ready to go. So that's how you can import vector props into Cartoon Animator without needing Adobe Flash. You just got to use this freeware program called KVec. As you saw, it's a little bit involved setting this thing up, but once you've actually set it up in that folder, you pretty much just open up a command line, make sure that you're actually pointed inside that folder, and you can just keep bringing in as many files as you like and converting them using the command line the way I showed you. So if you found this tutorial useful, I have a whole bunch of tutorials at thelazyanimator.com. Feel free to go over there and check them out. Also feel free to check out my animation and video life blog. If you join the mailing list to that, you'll get articles early, at least a week earlier than everyone else, and I try to provide you with useful content through that, which does include sometimes tutorials, but on a broader scale I sort of review software, animation software and other things, tools and whatever that are all part of making independent animation, so feel free to check that out. So it's thelazyanimator.com and animationandvideo.com for the animation and video life blog. Till next time, I'll see you later. Bye for now.